Well, hello everybody. I'm Mr. Anderson, Principal of Freedom Crossing Academy. I want to welcome you to another one of our videos. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch these. There's this one that I'm going to go over for all of our students, lots of stuff for the 2021 school year. So I thank you for taking the time to watch this. It's going to be kind of long, so I'm going to talk kind of fast. There's one from Miss Rugen, just for our kindergarten students, talk specifically about what school's going to look like for them. There's an interview with Dr. Hamlin, who's our assistant principal over grades 3 through 5. It's going to talk about some of the things that's going to look different for that age group of students. And then there's another whole presentation by Miss Line for our middle school students. I want to let you know that we waited until we felt more confident with the things that we had to share with everybody. A lot of time over the summer was spent changing and adjusting to the different information that we had as things change. So right now we feel pretty good about the information that we're going to share. So again, I want to thank you for your time. I do also want to ask everybody, we are a K-8 school, and this is the first year that we're going to be all the way from kindergarten to 8, so we're adding that 8th grade. But we're not a true elementary school, so when you're talking to your friends that maybe talking about what the elementary schools are doing, please know that we had to make different decisions than they did. We have parameters and things that are a little bit different. We have to take into account the mixing of students and all that stuff, so please just know that there's some of the decisions that were made on the elementary level we just couldn't adhere to. And the same thing happened with the middle schools. We go to all the meetings with all the middle schools, all the meetings with all the elementary schools, and some of the things that they're going to do are going to be a little bit different here than they are there. Also, Freedom Crossing has only been around for 2 years, and that puts us in a little bit different category than the other schools in our area, especially the other K-8. So when you're talking to them, because that's some of our closest schools, is again, we have to do things a little bit differently. They've been around a little longer. They have some limitations that have been taken away from them by the state, just because they've been around a little bit longer. They're considered schools of excellence. Now, don't get me wrong, we are an excellent school. We're pretty amazing here. We work our best to be a pretty good school. And we will become a school of excellence, but we just haven't been in existence long enough. So just when you're hearing the things that we're doing here, just know that the parameters within which we have to work are a little bit different. So we did have to make some different decisions based on that, especially in how we built some of our classes, how we blended our distance learners and our brick and mortar learners, and how we share teachers along the way. So I just wanted to share that so everybody knew that when you're talking to your friends from other schools, that there is a reason behind the way and the reason that we're doing things, and it does have to be a little bit different. So let me get started. So as we do here at Freedom Crossing, we're going to start every class, every day with good news. So I just want to give a big shout out to Miss Lime and our whole PBIS team and our students, because they worked really hard, and we have been awarded a PBIS Gold School Award. Now to do that after only being in existence for 2 years is just simply remarkable, and it's really due to the work of our students and that PBIS team and the rest of the teachers that supported that. To be a Gold PBIS school is a 3 to 5 year goal for us, and we made it in 2 years. We hope to continue on that track, continue to reach that level and beyond, and that this is just one of several different awards and accolades that our school will get as we strive to be the best we can for our students. I also want to let everybody know that we continue to grow. And a lot of it has to do with you and just your support for our school, the positive messages that you're sending people. I can't tell you how many people we've met this summer, or we actually didn't really meet them, but we've talked to them, that have said, you know, we heard about this school, so we moved to come into this school zone, and people from outside of the state of Florida. So that's really exciting. Just want to say thank you to that. We're roughly around 1,800 right now, probably well over 1,800. Our numbers going up and down. I predict that by the end of the school year, we'll probably be around 2,000. Now that's me also hoping that we're not in these limitations given to us by COVID. I want to let you know that the whole point of this presentation is just to kind of give you what's going to happen here at Freedom Crossing this year. Just so you kind of feel at ease, so you have good reference when you're making decisions and just deciding why you sent your child to school, why you're doing distance learning, and if you're going to make any changes. Again, just please don't compare us to other schools. Everything we did here is based on the parameters that we had here. Now, I want to welcome everybody to School 2020 2.0. Now, as you know, we left for spring break last year, and we went right in from spring break into distance learning. So that's what I consider School 2020 1.0. but it's kind of like an operating system for our computer. That was 1.0. We took into account everybody that was changing in the world and people having to work and all kinds of different stuff. And this is going to be very different. It's a completely different operating system. So students and parents just know that what happens at this point in distance learning in this blended learning model is going to be very different than how we ended the school year last year. We're going full on, all the standards, everything that we would normally do, that's the expectation for this time. So our teachers are working very, very hard to blend this whole distance learning and this brick and mortar school. But just know, just like the operating systems on our phones, our computers, and our tablets, it starts out 2.0, but within a couple weeks it's going to be 2.1. A few days after that, 2.2. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to continue to keep striving to do better and better. But just please remember also, this is new for us. We've got a lot of students that this is the first time them coming to school. We've got teachers, first time them coming to school. This is very different, and we're going to continue to adjust and change to adhere to our commitment to the best possible education we can provide for our students. So let's talk about a typical day. I think that's the best way for me to kind of give you an idea of what it's going to look like here. So we're going to try to walk through a typical day. I'm going to sidetrack a few times here, but just parents, we all know this. We all know that arrival and dismissal for the first 3 weeks is crazy. It is just, especially if you're parent pickup or parent drop off in the morning, it takes a long time for everybody just to kind of get into the flow, to get into the routine. So it's going to be very backed up the first few weeks of school. Please, please, please be patient. I'm going to talk more about dismissal, but just no arrival, especially with some of the new parameters that we have. Please be patient with us. It's going to take some time. It's going to be okay though. All right. So when people come to school, there's going to be temperature checks taken for all students every day. So the first thing they come in, as soon as they get to class, their temperature is going to be taken. It's going to be checked. And I'm going to talk about what happens if somebody has a fever or something like that. We're going to ask masks for all. And we're going to do a lot of social distancing. I'll talk a little bit more about that, what it'll look like in the classroom. There's going to be no patrols. So here's what I'm going to ask all of our students to do. And I know this is a big ask for especially our incoming kindergartners, but I'm going to ask everybody to practice, and I literally mean practice, opening your doors and getting out, both from the inside, getting out, and from the outside, getting in. So parents, if you could help, especially our younger students, to do that, to help themselves get in and out of cars, what we're doing is limiting some of that contact. We will have adults out. We're going to have adults everywhere when students are arriving and students are being dismissed. But just know we don't have enough adults to be at every cone to get people out and get people in. We've also expanded on both ends of our parent drop-off area the length of the sidewalk within which we can bring students on campus and then exit them out at the end of the day. So if you could just help us out and practice with your students, them opening the doors and getting them out. There's also a new crosswalk on Longleaf Pine, so a lot of our bus riders that live across Longleaf Pine from our school are now going to be bikers and walkers. My understanding is that there's going to be 2 crossing guards and 1 PSA there. That's the latest thing I heard. That's always subject to change. That is up to the sheriff. That's not a school board decision. That's all up to them. They employ them and they put them there. So parents, as you're driving onto campus, if you're coming down Longleaf, please, please, please be aware of those flashing lights and the new increased number of students that are now crossing that road. That's going to be something new for us, so please just watch that, be courteous, and allow those bikers and walkers to cross safely. Our students are going to report straight to class. Now that's going to be something different for our middle schoolers and some of our younger students. So there's no time now to be socializing and grouping in our common areas, and that's kind of breaks my heart because we've made those places just for them to do that. But until we get past COVID, every student, as soon as they step on campus, they're going to have to go right to class. Our kindergarten students, we've got a special thing that we're going to ask them to do. Kindergarten parents, what we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to come a little bit later. What we want to do is we want to get all of our students here in our building, and then during the first week, you're going to have staggered start. That means a small group of students come the first day, another group of students come the next day, and then continuing throughout that week. There'll be 4 or 5 students per class per day that week. And what we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to come after everybody else is on campus. We're going to have our teacher outside where they're going to meet you, and then they're going to walk the child and the parent through the outside perimeter of our building into their classroom, let you take a look into the classroom so you can see what's going to happen during the day, and then you can exit and go on your way. But we want to give you the opportunity just to walk your child to school for that very special, very first day of school. So kindergarten parents, during that first week, we're going to ask you just to hold off. We'll send information out to you so that you can get your students into class with them. And we're also going to mandate that you wear masks when you do that, please, because you'll be walking in a group. So one of the other things we're going to do, we know we have a lot of new students coming onto our campus. Now our building, it looks really big from the outside, but really on the inside, it's not that big. We've got 2 educational wings that go that way. We've got some portables this year, but the big part of the school is really the gym, the cafeteria, the office side. So it's really not that hard to find your way out, and we're going to have lots of people around to help our students find their way. So one thing that we are going to ask our students to do is if you're brand new to our school and you don't know where you're going, if you could make a card and put the room number on that card, and then all of the adults that are here will happily either escort you down to class or direct you in that direction. So if all of our new students, all you gotta do is put your number of your room on a card when you come the first day of school, and we will help you get to where you're going. All right, one of the reasons we didn't do tours this year is just simply because we don't want to get mass gatherings together. And we've got so many new families here. We will do a school tour later in the year once we're past COVID, just so our families, we want our families in here to see what our school looks like. We'll do that later, but right now we just want to get our students in class, and then the teachers during that first day and first week, they will guide them around the school, show them all the ins and outs. Within a day, the students are going to know the school, know everywhere there is and how to get there. Everywhere they go this year, once they get to class, everybody's going to have an assigned seat, and that's even going to be true on buses. So all students on buses will have an assigned seat. Once the student is in class, they obviously have an assigned seat as well. We're going to stagger our bus entrance. We're going to have some on one part of our parking lot, some on another. We're actually going to close that parking lot. So when we unload one bus, we can bring them in. If we have other buses there, we can unload the buses, get the buses out to their additional runs, but we will hold some of our students just so they're not all coming in at the same time, and we can stagger how those bus students arrive in campus. We're also going to open up multiple points of entry, so we have our students coming in from different ways, and we'll have adults that will help them with that this year. I may even put on a map like I've done in the past just to help with that, just so we don't have a lot of students coming in to a couple of points of entry as we come into the school year. We do have a lot of COVID-19 procedures. Again, if there is a high temperature, what's going to happen is the child, we have an isolation room set up for anybody that has any COVID-like symptoms. They'll come into that room so they don't have further contact with anybody else. If there is such a case and we have to call you and ask you to pick up your child, we're going to ask that you do not come into the building. What we'll ask you to do is you call the nurse will contact you. Then when you arrive here on our campus, you call us, and the nurse will escort the child out and they'll check you out there. Again, no volunteers or visitors are going to come into our building this year, not until we're past the COVID stuff and the restrictions have been lifted, and we can warmly welcome those people. But for right now, nobody's allowed in our building, so no classroom volunteers until we can get past that. No visitors or anything else. You can come into the front office and drop things off if you need to. You're welcome to do that, but we're not letting anybody into the building. I would just like to say, for anybody that's new in our school, on our website is a volunteer form. If you would fill that out, then once we can lift all those COVID restrictions, you'll be good to come on our campus. So it's never too late to do that, so I just want to put a plug out for that. We're also going to require our students, anytime that you cannot social distance or be behind a desk shield, to have your mask on. And we're going to be doing a lot of social distancing. So I'll talk a little bit more about what it looks like in class. So again, our precautions that we're doing for
COVID-19, so we have daily temperature checks, asking everybody to wear masks.
We're gonna treat a lot of stuff. We have a spray that kills the bacteria on contact, and it's good for up to 90 days. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna spray all of our high traffic areas, a lot of our PE equipment, a lot of our recess equipment, desks, as much stuff as we can treat, cafeteria tables, all that stuff. It's natural, it's good for, it doesn't harm anybody. We've done lots of tests and checking on that, but we're gonna treat as much as we can, just so it's safe for our students. Every class has been supplied cleaning supplies. Every classroom will have desk shields for every desk, and then also when they sit at a table and do group work with a teacher, there's different desk shields there as well. Everywhere they go, they're gonna have assigned seats. Now, this one, especially middle school, when you go to lunch, you're gonna have an assigned seat.
I'll talk more about lunch in a little while.
We are gonna ask that parents please do not send in hand sanitizer. I know that sounds counterintuitive to everything that's going on right now, but we've heard and there's a lot of hand sanitizer that have been recalled. So we're just gonna ask you not to send it in. We've got plenty right now, and we feel like we can maintain what we need to have for hand sanitizer, and they can use as much as they want during the day. We will make sure that we get it back for them. We're doing classroom distancing, so we're going to talk a little bit about cohorts here. So when your child comes in and they're in their class, and this is K-5, they're in that class cohort, and that's this group that they're going to be with all day. So we're going to try to eliminate them from socializing with other cohorts of students. So when they go outside to play at recess, they're going to have their area to play in, and they're not going to intermingle with another group. We're going to try to really tightly watch who our students are. And one of the reasons we have to do that is we have to do contact tracing. So if somebody does start showing symptoms or is tested positive, we have to be able to contact trace everybody that they've been in contact with. So that's one of the reasons we're trying to keep our cohorts in those classrooms. We're really watching. We've done a lot of scheduling with that, just checking our schedules, watching all that stuff we do. We're also doing individual materials and supplies. So a lot of times we would bring the supplies in and they'd be class community supplies. We're not going to do that this year. All the supplies that our students bring in, it's going to be theirs. So parents, if you can all label them, please label them with your child's name. Also, when you bring them in, I know that parents would carry in bags of stuff. What we're going to ask you to do is, as it fits in your child's backpack, send a couple items in a day. There's no rush to get it in. We got lots of time. We spend the first couple weeks just getting to know our students, both distance learning and brick and mortar. So I give teachers permission. They don't have to do a whole lot of instruction the first couple weeks, because getting those rituals, routines, getting those relationships built the first couple weeks pays hours and hours of dividends down the road. So that's kind of what we do the first couple weeks. So it doesn't matter if you get those supplies in the first day or if it takes you 2 weeks to do it. The biggest thing is just a couple of items in the backpack every day will slowly get them in. Celebrations. I know parents like to send things in for their students if they're having birthdays. What we're going to ask you to do is just tell the teacher. The teachers are coming up with some special things to make those days special for our students. And so if you just tell the teacher, they'll celebrate it. We just don't want other things coming into the building as far as containers and treats and stuff like that. We've closed and covered up all of our water fountains, except we do have filling stations where the child can put their water bottle under it and it reads a sensor and the water fills it. Those are all open, and our students will be able to get plenty of water during the day. We'll be doing additional cleaning throughout the day, and I've talked about the scheduling changes that we're making and our class groups, how we're cohorting our students together. So a typical day, I know our students want to know, well, what about recess and electives? As I've said, you will have recess, you will have electives. We are spacing out our play area, so everybody will have a designated place, and that will rotate, so our classes get sometime on the basketball court, sometimes in the field, sometimes on the play equipment. We've got that all worked out, so they'll rotate all that around so everybody gets it, but they have to stay within their cohort. They'll have all the resources. We've been able to make some extra space in those rooms so they can social distance while they're in there. And our lockers will be used in our middle schools as well. So I know the big question is, when does our child have to wear masks? So anytime they cannot social distance, and anytime they are not behind a desk shield. So now this is not exactly what
Our
our
desk shields look like, but it's,
similar to this with a cardboard outer edge and then a clear shield in it. All of our desks will have those. So once a child is sitting at their desk and they're behind that shield, they can take their mask down or take it off. If they go into the group around their teacher and the teacher has those shields around the teacher's desk, again, they can take their mask off. They do need to wear them during every transition. They can take them off while at recess or during PE. Now, a lot of our smaller students will get their students together at carpet time and do readings and different things like that, and the children will need to wear their mask during that time. And when they're around doing centers and things like that, if they're working in a small group and they're not behind a shield, they will have to wear their mask at that, and again, on the bus. We are working, and we know that's not the most comfortable thing to wear a mask all the time, so we are very closely monitoring. Our teachers are very aware of how much time students will be spending wearing a mask, but yet, safety is still, and always will be, one of our top priorities here, so we will just try to minimize the contact that everybody has with each other and the spread of anything that we could spread. Lunch. So I got this picture because it has the same type of table that we have in our cafeteria. We don't have the long tables with the things, we have round tables. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to, again, as I've said, assign seats for everybody at lunch. In middle school, once you have an assigned seat, you're gonna sit with your lunch period class, and that's gotta be the seat that you stay in every day. So middle school, middle school, what you guys can do is you guys can be a huge help in helping our community not spread the coronavirus. So just some things we're gonna ask you to do is once you're seated, you gotta stay there. In those seconds, we're gonna ask you to get everything you need the first time through, get your food, and then stay there, and then you'll be dismissed by class out different ways. So a little bit differently than we've done in the past, for everybody, because it can be class by class, going out different directions to minimize the transition time and the people passing each other in the halls and in the cafeteria. We're also utilizing our stage. We have tables on our stage. We've taken tables apart and rebuilt them in our multi-purpose room, so we can use both of those rooms for lunch as well. Again, creating more social distance for our students as they eat their lunches. Our food is gonna be, at least for the first couple weeks, is gonna be grab and goes. Everything is individually packaged, so our students will come up, they'll grab the package, it won't be served to them like we've done in the past, at least for the first couple weeks. One of the things we're gonna ask everybody to do is to, especially for our younger children, is to help their children practice opening the items that they have. And moms and dads, this is what I'm gonna ask you, and this is just for the safety of them, because if they can't open a container, I'm gonna ask you to either find a different kind of container or choose something else to send to school. If your child can't open it, please don't send it, because if they can't open it, somebody else is gonna have hands on that container to open it, and that's something we'd like to minimize as much as we can. So I know that's gonna ask a lot of some of our younger students, but if they can open up their lunchbox and everything is right there for them, that would be a great helper. Just easy to open bags would be wonderful. Again, we talked about transitions. There's not lunch on the bus, but I don't know why I put that there, but we do have meals available for our distance learners. So for our distance learners, you can come on a day, pick up your lunch and the breakfast for the following morning. What you'll need to do is contact the school, let us know. We have a place designated already to do that. It'll happen sometime in the morning before we start serving lunch here. So if you're interested in doing that, either contact one of the assistant principals, contact the school, or contact Ms. Damiano, our cafeteria manager. We can get that all worked out for you. Dismissal. So we know that dismissal can get very, very crazy. And parents, I just want to thank you. The last 2 years, you guys have been great. You've given us some time, you've been patient with us, and we work it to go as quickly as we can to get everybody out safely, but as quickly as we can, because it does get hot out there. We have expanded our sidewalk to allow more students to get in those cars and calling greater number of cars as we go through. There's going to be more information as we come on Monday. I understand bus routes will come out. And once we have that, we can better solidify what our dismissal plans are. But one of the things we're going to do this year is we're going to dismiss, other than buses, we're gonna dismiss everybody else by last name. So if you're a biker, walker, parent pickup, or extended day, we'll start probably early, and we'll probably do letters A through H. And that'll be a 10-minute window of time, and all those students will go to where they need to be. Then 10 minutes later, we'll do I through another letter. We'll just kind of do that all the way up until we get through the alphabet. And what I'm gonna ask parents to do is to arrive at your appointed time. I know we have some parents that come out and are in that parent pickup line long before we end our day. But what I'm gonna ask you to do is just adhere to that alpha order that we give you so that we can get everybody smoothly through that parent pickup line. I know with COVID and everything going on, I know we're gonna have a lot more parent pickup and parent drop off, because I don't know if a lot of you are gonna put your students on the bus, but we wanna be prepared for that. There'll be more information coming out to this, but please, the biggest thing you can do to help us is just arrive at that time that we ask you to, and just be patient. It'll take us a few weeks, but once we all get into flow of things and our students get into flow of things, it'll go much quicker. All right, so lots of what if questions. So, what if somebody has showing symptoms? Again, we have to do contact tracing. All the notification will come through our nurse, and then she reports everything to the health department. Health department is making all the decisions. So any other contact or any other notifications or anything else like that will come directly from the health department. It will not come from the school. Okay, we won't share any information. Everything, we go under the direction of the health department. What if your child has to miss school? Let's say they twist their ankle and they have a doctor's appointment or something like that. An illness and an illness, an absence is an absence, just like it always has been. They'll still be the same. And if it's the same for distance learning, or if they're brick and mortar, we're going to continue just to go as we always have. If they have to be out for some other reason other than a COVID-related issue, it's just like any other time. They'll make up the work when they come back, just like normal. Middle school schedule requests. So with a lot of the changes and stuff, we've had a lot of changes in scheduling and staff and numbers of students and things like that. So we've spent, my goodness, I can't tell you how many times Miss Lime has redone the schedule. But I know that we've got a lot of things that we're trying to balance out and working out with distance learners and brick and mortar learners. So if there is, she's worked very hard, but I can tell you right now, there's a lot of students that are not going to get their first choices for some electives. So our priorities were our 8th graders, because you got to remember, if you're 6th or 7th graders, you've got a year or two to get that top choice. So we try to make sure our 8th graders have gotten their top choice by the time they leave, and then we filter down. So just be aware of that. If you have questions about that, Miss Lime is the scheduling guru. Let her know. What do I do if a family member tests positive? So what we're going to ask you to do is we're just going to ask you to call our school nurses and just let them know so that they can do the things that they need to do and ask you some questions, and everything will be dealt with by a case-to-case situation. Let's say that something happens and your situation at home and things change and you need to change your options. What we're going to ask you to do again is either contact myself or contact the assistant principal that is over that grade level, and just let them know what's going on. Let them know what's happening with your family, why things have changed, what you want to do, and they'll work with you to work that out. Now what we're going to ask, and this is a district has said we need about 2 weeks to make any changes. We hope to do things quicker than that, but we just need to know what's going on just so we can help you best, and we can make some decisions on how we're going to do that. Your teacher, I'll let you know, your teacher could change, because based on the grade level, we've had to do some different things as to how we assign groups of students as distance learning students and brick and mortar students. But one of the things we do here at Freedom Crossing, and our staff has heard me say this a million times, we do 3 things here at Freedom Crossing. We do 3 things, only 3 things, but we do 3 things well. We do Capturing Kids Arts, we do PBIS, which obviously we did very well this year, and we do PLCs. And our PLCs, that whole concept is teachers not teaching in silos. It's a whole grade level, whole group of teachers working together for that whole collective of students. So our goal and our vision is it's not a student that's assigned to, say, Mr. Anderson's class, but that student is really assigned to that grade level. And so even if you're a brick and mortar student or if you're a distance learning student, you may have a recorded lesson from one teacher one day and a recorded lesson from another teacher another day, because they're working with their strengths and what they're really good at. So your teacher could change based on the changing of the situation. And again, we have to watch out how we are with class size amendment in the state of Florida and balancing our classes. So that's something that we're trying to navigate as we go through this and the changings. Some other topics, classroom supplies, I've asked you to label them and just slowly deliver them in. Typically would have a meet the teacher and orientation. That's going to take place virtually. So instead of everybody coming in, meeting the teachers, drop off supplies, do all that stuff, what we're going to do is we've got a designated day. We'll put that out for everybody a little bit later, where teachers will send out videos just to their classes so that they can meet them and that everybody can see who their teacher is. They'll let you know the room number, then you can prepare that card with that room number for your first day. A few weeks into the school year, we usually invite everybody back on campus to talk to our teachers, to do curriculum chats. They tell you about what's going to happen in the school year. That's the time to get to know that whole collective team of teachers. We're going to do that virtually as well. That's going to happen, I believe it's the third week of school. All field trips and other activities are on hold for now until we hear more and we're released from some of our COVID restrictions. Middle school sports, we're really taking directive from the high schools on this, trying to balance out what they're doing with what we're doing. So right now, this is kind of on a pause for our middle school sports. We know that it's going to be delayed. Our school year's already been delayed, so they're going to be delayed a little bit. They're actually meeting, actually they met today, is the recording of this video. But we have not heard as of the recording of this video what the directive is, and we haven't been able to adjust our middle school sports to that yet. But that news will be coming out soon. I know our 8th graders may be looking forward to the Washington, D.C. trip. I know I am, and I'm hoping that we can still go. It's on hold for now. That's why it's got a question mark. We're gonna wait and see what happens with that. We'll continue to slowly share information about that with our families. But we're not going to ask for any money or do anything else like that until we know a little bit more about what's going to happen. We actually may get some directive from our district on that as well. So, a couple other things, really important couple things. Car tags and those parents or families that are distance learning that have requested either a hotspot or a laptop. We are going to do a distribution of just those two items, car tags and technology, on Tuesday. And here's what we're going to do. I will send out a schedule for how that's going to work. We're going to ask you to come in to the parking lot that by the big building, by the cafeteria side where the buses are. That's the first driveway if you're coming off Longleaf. We're going to ask you to make sure that you have your ID, because what we're going to do is we're going to check your ID before we give you a placard to hang in your window. We're going to check your ID. We're going to check who your students are that are assigned to you, and then we're going to give you the placards that you can have for your car. So you're not allowed to pick up for somebody else. You can't come and grab 20 for all the families down your street. Every family is going to have to send a representative with a picture ID of somebody that is on the list for that child, and then we'll hand them to you. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure that every car that comes through our parent pickup line on that very first day of school has that placard in their window. You're going to get those. Hopefully it should only take you a couple minutes to get that. Hopefully this will go really quick and we get everybody in and out. And we have times even in the evening that you can come up to school and get those at the same time. And then probably down a little ways from that, we'll have all the technology set up. So if you've asked for one of those, somebody will be down there to hand that to you. You can get it, you can sign for it right there, and you can take it with you. And that'll all be done this coming Tuesday. Again, I will send this schedule out probably this weekend so that everybody has that and know when their times are. Classroom materials. So what we're going to do, especially for our distance learners, we're going to do a materials distribution day on Tuesday, September 8th. Now that's the second week of school. So what we're going to do is actually we may change that. So the reason we're not doing it before school is pre-planning week that our teachers have, which is not next week but the following, is really their first week back. They have a lot of plans to do. They have to get the rooms ready. Lots of stuff has to happen. There's also a lot of training this year, more than typical. So we want them to focus on all that stuff. We don't want to deviate by creating packets and everything. That's what they're going to do. So we're going to give them a little extra time to do that. And then what we'll do is on that day, after we have people in here in the building, we kind of have a sense of what's going on. Then we'll have all of our distance learners come in during the school day. Same thing, they'll come around a parent loop, we'll have a packet for you, everything that you need, all your books, all your materials, your planner, anything else that you may need, and we'll just hand it to you and away you go, so you'll be good. And just remember that the first couple weeks of school, all we ask our teachers to do is build relationships and get those rituals routines down. So you're not gonna miss any content if you don't have it. And again, that may be a typo, we may move this up a little bit sooner. So I know, here's the big question we're getting right now. How are we gonna know, or when are we gonna know who my child's teacher is? Well, parents new to Freedom Crossing, this typically goes out the day before Meet the Teacher. And here's what typically happens, and here's why. We are constantly getting enrollments. Just today we had, I think around 10 enrollments just today alone, and we're still 3 weeks out of school starting. So that's a constant going on, and the more students we get, and as it goes, we have to continually adjust and change our class lists. And sometimes we have to add teachers, do different things, so it adjusts and changes. So we don't put it out there until we're the very last minute. So just be patient with that. I don't send them out until that last minute. Middle schoolers, you guys this year, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull your schedule off of Hack. And then what we'll have this, we'll work on a system, get you all your textbooks so you don't have to come down and do that. But don't know that that's gonna happen very short to the start of school as well. Middle schoolers, this is a big deal just for you guys. I need to let you know. Earlier this summer, I put out a thing telling you that one of the things we had hoped to do is a block schedule. We got word from the district that we cannot do a block schedule. We have to stick to a 7-period schedule. So we're gonna run a 7-period schedule, working very hard to manage and watch how those transitions happen, to minimize the crossing of people with traffic flows and use of stairwells and different things like that. But we have been told that we will run a 7-period schedule, so we're gonna do that. Every middle school, you do need to, every transition, you gotta have your mask on. So wherever you're going, please wear your mask. And the thing I want to just mention to our middle schools, just remember, it's not just you. If you're not doing the things that you need to do to protect yourself, you may not feel the effects, but you may go home and take it to your parents, or you may take it home to a grandparent or somebody else that you're living with or you see. So we just want to not only minimize what happens here, but what we take out of here with us. So middle schools really got to wear your mask during that times of transitions. Lunch, again, I want to reiterate with you guys are going to be in assigned seats, and once you're there, you got to stay there until you're dismissed. And your assigned seats are your assigned seats are your assigned seats. Once you're there, you got to stay there. Again, so if there is something that happens, we can contact trace it for you. But you know what, folks? Our middle schoolers, they're amazing. They are so responsible and so good. I really don't think that this is going to be an issue, but I just want to reiterate it with them, just because I know they are a great, great, great group of students. I'm so proud of them and everything they've done, but I just want to reiterate that with them. A special slide just for our distance learners. Just a reminder, it's going to be different. It's not going to be what it was when we left off last year. It's going to be, the rigor's going to be there, which means basically there's no slacking. It's going to be tough. You got to do just like you would in school. A couple suggestions that I'm going to ask our families is that might help you out is set a routine. Make sure that you have that same routine that you would have as if you were going to a normal school day. That'll help our students take what they're doing there is serious as if they were in the school building. So set a routine. If you get up and you have breakfast before you go to school, get up and have breakfast before you log in. Now, it may not be distracting to you if you're eating and doing things like that when you're doing your distance learning, but it could be distracting to the other students, other things that are hearing and seeing, and the teacher that's watching you. So please just make sure that you're sitting and addressing this teacher just like you would if you were in a regular school thing. Same thing, getting dressed, just being prepared for your day, just look like you would for school. As parents, I think that helps our students get just that right mental attitude for the day and all the distractions. So one of the things that you might want to do is set up a different place for them outside of the playroom, outside of their bedroom, something that's distraction free, that's not full of, I know for me, if I had some of my games and toys around, it would distract me. So minimize those distractions, have a special place for them. What we want to do is we really want to prepare our students for success, and that's just some of the things that we can do to help them. And then we have a planner, so make sure you're using that planner. Help them plan out some of the stuff that they have to do as far as their day. There's gonna be schedules, so a distance learner, doesn't matter if you're in kindergarten or 8th grade, you're gonna spend a little chunk of time on the computer, then you're gonna go off and do some work. Then you're gonna come back and do some more time on the computer. You're gonna go off and do some work. You may go off and have a recess break, not middle schoolers. You're gonna come back to the computer. You're gonna go off and have lunch. So your time is gonna be mixed all day long, on and off, on and off. You're not gonna be spending the whole day on that computer, but you are gonna be in school the whole day. So you gotta be doing that work and keeping up with what's going on. Use your planner to help keep you organized. And what does a school day look like for distance learner? Really what we want it to look like is like a traditional, typical day here in our building. So that should be our goal for our distance learners. Schoology is going to be a big thing. This is for all of our students, K through 5. Everybody's going to be using Schoology. We want that consistency for our parents. Parents, we heard you loud and clear that you want consistency, a one-stop shop for all your students. So parents, when you log in, you'll be able to see all your students. Now, we're going to ask you for a little patience. We will get out those parent access codes to Schoology, but give us a little bit of time to get our schedules down, that stuff, and then we'll give you those codes that you can get in. Until then, you can always log in as your child and see what they're doing. One thing I do want to just reiterate, grading on Schoology, and again, this is K through 8, Schoology does post grades for just assignments. So if you see a grade on Schoology, it's for the assignment, it's not for the class. You need to go into the Home Access Center to see what the child's grade is in that class, okay? Don't let your child tell you, Mom, look, I got an A in math. Well, that's good for them because that's an A on that assessment. May not be the A in the class. Again, Schoology is just the assignment. But this is where all the assignments are going to be held. There'll be folders, an organizational system where you can see everything that's happening week by week, subject by subject, for all your teaching and everything. This is going to be a great tool for us. So that's it. I just want to thank everybody for your time. And really I just want to ask you to band together with me. And as you notice, the very first slide, we had a mask on our Falcon. This slide, we have it off. And that's what we want to have by the end of this school year. We want to go back to school as normal. We want to have our students in here. We want to give them a high five, shake their hands, get those little hugs from our little guys. We just want to connect with us. We want to see their smiling faces. So we want to work extra hard. We want to do everything we can so we can love our kids. And I want to ask you to help us do that. This is going to be a great school year. We want to finish strong as we always do. I get to brag about our school a lot. I'm making more and more connections based on Freedom Crossing, actually making connections around the country because some of the things that are happening here. And I get to brag on our school and what we do after only 2 years of existence. So I can't wait for the opportunity to brag on what our students and our community does this year to help us get past COVID. We are committed to do the best we can for our students. No matter what we do, we want to do the best for them. We want to treat them as our own children. Please know that they're in our hearts. We want to love them, we want to take care of them, we want to keep them safe, we want to educate them, we want to do the best we can for them. And we thank you so much for your time for watching this video. We're going to do our best. And I hope you and your family are well and stay safe. Thank you so much.